Welcome to HitEnter. In this episode, I'm talking with Thijs Sprangers of Live on Demand about the past, present and future of his startup. A platform with which you can crowdsource everybody, even Barack Obama, and why Eric Ries decided to invest in Live on Demand. Hi Thijs, great you could make it. We actually met each other at the Web Summit in 2013. That was around the time that Live on Demand, the idea was born. Can you tell us a bit more about how you started Live on Demand?
It was in 2013 that my co-founder Jani and I had a conversation at a party in the kitchen where he was sharing his frustration about having missed a concert. And he said, there should be an app or a website, where people just can start a campaign and decide when an artist comes and play somewhere. And I thought, that's a really big idea, In every industry thinkable, it's possible to just start...
give the power to the masses.
Yeah, give the power to the masses, and if you have enough people, then you can build every product, or you can personalize your own food or your television evening. But for live entertainment, it's still the case that somebody in an office somewhere decides who's playing where and when. And we thought that should change. So that was the starting idea of Live on Demand. And at Dublin Web Summit, when we met, we had just done our first few months of testing, and we sold our first 50,000 euros in tickets at that moment, which for us proved that people were actually willing to pay for an event that wasn't not sure to happen, that had no date and that had no confirmation by the artist yet.
Great. In the meantime, you have managed to attract actually quite a large number of interesting speakers.
Yep.
Eric Ries,
Ricardo Semler,
and Elsa Kroll.
Yeah.
How did you manage to get them here?
Yeah, we had 15 successful events so far, and in the speakers, the first approach, what we always do is when the first 20% of tickets are sold, so the first 20% of hardcore fans have joined the campaign. That's when we reach out to an artist or to a speaker. And then people react differently. Sometimes they say, okay, we don't have time for it, or we don't, that almost never happens, but some people say I don't speak in public. This happened once. And usually it's not so much a matter of if they will come, but when they will come. It has to fit in their schedule. Mm-hmm. So that's how we approach them. Sometimes it's directly, so you just look their website up, approach them and say, hey, the first 100 fans have joined, how about it? And sometimes when they're bigger speakers like Eric Ries or Ricardo Semler, we approach the agency, and then because everything is handled by an agent, and then we discuss conditions with an agent, and then we know what the critical mass is that it needs to be reached, and then we go back and tell the fans and say, okay, we can do it, this is the option date, this is the total budget that we need to cover. And then we help the fans with a network of media partners to make it happen.
I would be very much interested in inviting Barack Obama. How would that work on your platform?
You would go to liveondemand.com/launch, and then you basically have to answer 5 questions to start a campaign. And that is who's a speaker or artist? How many people do you think will join? What do you think is a reasonable price? Where do you want the event to take place? So a geographical place like a city. And what's your personal motivation? With those 5 elements, we create the campaign page, and then you can fine-tune your campaign page. It's not live immediately. It's only you can invite friends to join you, to join your team, so you can build a team of maximum 5 people that can help you, and then you can improve your design of the page and add content to it, like a great movie of a speech of Barack Obama or stuff like that, and other information. And then you can share it with friends, and when the first 5 ticket buying people have joined, it's publicly listed in the campaign. Mm-hmm. So that's basically how it
that
works.
Means what does that mean, that it's publicly listed?
That it's before there's 5 people that have bought a ticket. You can share it with your friends, but it doesn't pop up yet in the website of Live on Demand, and it doesn't pop up with the partners yet.
So you just talked about the uncertainty that you're actually try to invite somebody and you don't know if he will come or not.
Yep.
And on the other hand, it seems like I have to invest quite some time and effort to get the person over here.
True.
So how do you help as a platform help me to keep up with that struggle?
Our help grows as the campaign grows, and the help that any starter, of course, gets is the virality in the platform. So we make sure that everybody that joins the campaign is constantly invited to share that with friends. So let's say the natural motivation that somebody who joins your campaign for Barack Obama has is that he wants to join or she wants to join and invite other people, because they all know that it only happens when enough people join.
Yes.
But to make sure that natural motivation is served, we send out emails, we make good social media content, we make every step in the process as easy as possible for you to share with friends. So that's the first step.
For that you probably need a lot of skill to be able to reach a lot of people, so the event goes viral. Do you already have such a large customer user base?
No, not yet, but it's for a large part also dependent on the user, on the network of friends that the people in the campaign have. For instance, the campaign for Elon Musk now has 263 people already.
Another big
joined.
name, by the way.
Another big name. It's not necessarily only about big names. We'll talk about some smaller examples.
But it seems almost like impossible to get a person like Elon Musk over here.
But that's the great adventure. People said the same thing about Ricardo Semler and about Eric Ries also when we started it.
Well, to your point, I don't think it would otherwise been possible for us in the Netherlands to have Eric Ries over here. So thank you for that, by the way.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
so that was great, and everybody who's on board in the Elon Musk campaign knows that it's let's say difficult to get him over here. But if enough people join, then it's usually only a matter of time. So he might not be available to come next month, but maybe it's next year. And then as the campaign grows, we add our media partners in there as well. So we have a network of media partners who are attached to each of the campaigns. So the Eric Ries campaign was partnered by Business News Radio, by BNR News Radio, and by Marketing Facts.
The big Dutch national business news radio.
Yes, indeed. And the same goes for the Elon Musk campaign. So if you would start the Barack Obama campaign, which I would really be a fan of and would definitely join, then we would hook up media partners as it grows, and probably also companies.
But probably we'll have to wait that he's not a president anymore.
Well, maybe you can start a campaign already.
Right now,
we have several people who have suggested it, so it might actually be a really good idea.
Yeah, you just said that you're on the one hand you're trying to help users that launch an event with social media campaign, and you wanted to make another point, which is the other ways you help us.
So it's the platform, then it's support from our team, and then it's support from the media partners and from the network of companies. So that's the 4 ways in which we help you as a starter. So the virality of the platform, the functionalities of the platform. Then the support team, we have people, our customer happiness agents, who are there to help the starters to with questions, with the right answers to it, to find more fans, to improve their campaign page, to make better use of social media. And then the media partners help by put a magnifying glass on what's already happening in your campaign. So if your campaign is growing and it is, for instance, in revival music, for, like an 80s group band or something like that, then Veronica or Sublime FM, 2 of the major channels in the Netherlands, will take this campaign and bring it out in their channels. We do the same with Excite, for instance, and on the business side we have radio channels and other partners that help enlarge what you are doing in your campaign.
So is that how you keep the expenses low? Because it seems to me that it's quite expensive to organize an event, organize a place where you can hold the event and get all the marketing done. So how do you go about in keeping the costs low?
Well,
and scale the business actually?
Yeah, so the all the partners involved have an interest in getting those people together in one place. For many of the partners, it's already very cool if they can get their audience from listening to the radio station to actually come together in one event. That in itself is a success. Some of the media partners have kickback fees, so if an event started by their audience is successful, then they will get a share of the profit. And in general, to keep costs low, we pretty much, when a campaign reaches the first 20% and we take an option on the venue and on the artist, then we know the budget, and then we set a critical mass at the break-even point. Okay. So the event only happens if enough people join. Yeah, well, that's how we can do it.
Done.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have an interest as well as you have to make it successful. So our interests are combined. And then when this break-even point is reached, we usually still have 6 to 8 weeks until the event, and that's where we make our money. But then you have your event already, the speaker is paid, the event budget is covered, the venue is paid, so all the direct costs are covered, and only then we can make money.
Mm-hmm. One last point, and then we'll switch gears and talk more about live on demand as a startup and what your future plans are. Mm-hmm. While I was doing some research, I couldn't actually find a similar kind of startup platform. Mm-hmm. Is that correct, or do you have competitors in the space?
Yeah, we have people in the same line of business. So in Brazil, there's a startup called Queremos, mm-hmm. Which moved to North America as We Demand, and they're basically focused on music. I think they've done about 100 events or something already. And then in various local places in Berlin, in Australia, in England, there are similar concepts, but they're all in music. We are the only ones focusing largely on speakers. We mm-hmm. also do some.
Was that on purpose?
That was actually one of the most important conclusions from our past period at Rockstart Accelerator, to focus on the speaker segment, because we can deliver better there. There's a higher success rate in the speaking events. There's more money to be made. They're more easily to book. The complexity of the events is lower. Yes. So there are all reasons why the speaker market is an interesting market.
The events are much smaller compared to a concert.
Yeah. But in number of people, the ticket prices usually are higher. So in turnover, it can be bigger or at least the same.
Let's talk a bit about live on demand as a startup. You just raised a fair amount via Leapfunder, which is a Dutch crowdfunding platform.
True.
And via angel investors, and probably it's not disclosed, but around 100K from Eric Ries. Is that correct?
No, that's not correct. We raised from Eric Ries, but
how much?
I can't tell.
Okay.
No, we are currently in a round where we want to raise 500,000 euros, and we closed 400,000 of that. Via multiple new investors. So part of that is Leapfunder, part of that is Eric Ries, part of that are other angel investors.
And can you disclose the name of the angel investors? Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Are they Dutch investors?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Okay. So what are you going to use the money for that you raised?
For increasing the virality and scalability of the platform. So, for instance, we just hired our second developer. We really did everything with one developer until now. We're going to further build the development team, get our own designer, get a second developer or a third developer next year.
Well, you're saying own designer because until this moment you had freelancers. Working for you.
Yeah, so it was until now we worked with a basic team of 4 people full time, and recently 6 people full time, and the rest are interns or freelancers. So what we're doing with the money is investing in the platform, make it more scalable, and increasing the virality features.
And those are very, very important issues. Can you delve a bit more on those 2 points, how you want to achieve scalability? Because I think, especially because you're on the one hand it's a platform, but on the other hand you're really doing something in real life. So it's more difficult, I think, to scale than otherwise.
Yeah.
So scalability and virality.
Well, the scalability thing, what I always tell investors and people around us, and what we always talk about it in the team, look at TEDx, for instance. TEDx does 2,500 events in 1,200 cities per year. So it is definitely possible to scale large-scale speaking events. And the event part, the complete event organization is outsourced. So already now, when we walk into an event from Live on Demand, we're like, wow, this looks really cool. But we didn't really have anything to do other than selecting the right event partner, and they will organize it. So that part, physical part, is pretty much scalable. Scalability in the platform has to do about getting all the international payment, international ticketing organized. Getting the right APIs to connect all those systems together, so that it doesn't just work with Ideal in the Netherlands, but it also works with Carte Bleue in France. And that is for part choosing the right partners, and for part
for
developing
example,
on our side.
Like Adyen and Eventbrite, maybe? Are you working with
we're currently working with TicketScript and Paylogic as ticketing partners, and we're running a payment project because we want to have more data from each transaction directly to us, and we don't want people to have to log in twice, which is sometimes necessary.
Very good thing.
Yeah, so we want to remove those barriers, and that is basically development.
And the virality part?
The virality part is about making it more easy to provide you with relevant content about your campaign. If you join a campaign, then we want to be able to give you as much as relevant content to share with others. And this relevant content always has news from the campaign. How many people are in it, how many people have joined, because you always want something new to share with your friends if you want to have more people in. Yeah. And also what you share differs per stage of the campaign, because in the early part you will have your friends in, but after that it will be people that you don't know, but that are also interested in getting Barack Obama live on stage. So then the type of content changes, and there's a lot of technology behind it, and a lot of marketing intelligence, and that's where we are investing in right now.
It seems to me that your business model is quite a lot based on really attracting the right partners. Mm-hmm. And when you talk with other startups, it seems like that's one of the most difficult things to do. So how do you go about that?
We are really sensitive to market signals. So for instance, we didn't envision when we started Live on Demand that companies would be interested to join. And when we did our first campaigns, then and people, just individual fans, start talking about it on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, then suddenly companies started calling us and saying, can we join too? With 10 or 20 tickets, or with a sponsor package, or can we play a part in that?
So you're not pushing really Live on Demand in those areas? But
now
really
we are.
You.
Yeah, now we are, but we already have 40 corporate customers. So being sensitive to that is like, okay, we didn't expect this to happen, but it's happening. Now how can we do it in our model? So it's like being sensitive to new partnerships, and the same goes for media partnerships. When people approach us and apparently they see something in our model, then it takes a bit of time and a few meetings to really find out what's important for them. And if we can combine that with our vision and strategy, then that's a good basis to find new partners. So I think that would be the same for other startups as well.
Okay. Great. We talked about the fact that Eric Ries invested in Live on Demand and the event, which was really successful. Can you tell us a bit more about the event and the more successful chat you actually had with Eric Ries after the event?
Yeah, of course. When we started the campaign for Eric Ries, we were like, it would be so great if this happens. That would be a success in itself. And then when it happened, of course, I thought, at some point I will take the opportunity to ask him if he would be interested in investing. But before that could happen, one of my advisory board members, Sasha, was talking to him and said, of course you're going to invest in these guys, right? So I was like, okay, it's only coffee time, and the question has already popped up. And he was like, yeah, sure. So we looked at each other.
Really, just like that?
Yeah, I said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And we looked at each other. Yeah, he said it. Yeah, I heard it too. So then in the evening...
You couldn't say no anymore, actually.
So in the evening I politely repeated, I'll contact you in a few weeks and we'll evaluate the event and talk about new events and maybe about your investment as well. He said, yeah, sure, write me an email. So I said, yeah, he's serious about it. And then it took about a month before we spoke on the phone, and I mentioned the 3 topics when we opened this conversation. He said, yeah, to start with the last thing, I will definitely invest. I love what you're doing. It's really disruptive, and I think there's a great market for it, and I will support it. I'm very selective in the startups that I support.
You just said behind the scene that he invested in your company, but he doesn't have a lot of time.
No.
So how does he help?
He helps by giving us access to his network. So if we want to talk to investors or partners in the US, then he will do the introductions. He also invited me to come and speak at the Lean Startup Conference to talk about live on demand, which is of course a great stage to talk about a startup and about the business that we do, and a great way for us to meet new partners. And he said, use my name and the events that we do together as a marketing instrument, which is really good, which attracts other speakers as well.
Okay, Thijs, thank you for being with us here at StartupJuncture, and I'm going to sign up an event for Barack Obama, so I'll accept you to come on board as soon as possible.
I will join the team, definitely.
Great, thanks.
Thanks.